All right, and what is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Fight Forecast. I am Ryan, the owner of DualCoastSports.com, one of the newest, uh, best sites out there when it comes to daily fantasy information, as well as betting information. If you're, looking for a site that can provide that information to you, absolutely, certainly take a look at it. We're running a great promotion right now. $20.20 gets you a 1 month subscription to all the premium information that we do have, as well as some free information and stuff like that. So definitely check it out. I am also very excited today to announce a partnership that we have came about with ThriveFantasy.com. The guys from Thrive Fantasy reached out to me today, actually asked if we'd be interested in doing some sort of business together, and I'm very excited to announce that we did come to a agreement. They're now one of the main sponsors of DualCoastSports.com, as well as the Fight Forecast. So yeah, if you have not checked them out, absolutely check them out as well. They gave us a great promotion, which is if you use the code DCS, and that's right on the screen as well. If you use that code on your first deposit, you get 100% match up to $50. So all you have to do is deposit at least $20. You deposit $20, they give you $20 free money to play with. One of the unique things about this site and what's so cool about it, one of the things that kind of drew me to this site is that it brings everything that we love about sports and about gambling together. So instead of having it be, like a normal DFS site where you have your salaries, so on and so forth, and you have to build your lineup with salaries. The way that this works is it actually has to do with player props. So they're not in the MMA field yet. I know that's what this podcast is primarily about, but I have put some little whispers in their ear to try to get that up and running at some point in time. But like I said, the cool thing about this site is you pick player props. So you got a whole list of player props. You pick a certain amount that you like, and then each prop has a certain point value. If your props hit, you get those points, and you face off against other people, like in regular DFS, to try to win. So yeah, certainly check them out. I'm very excited that we got to partner with them. I think that it's a very unique, fresh take when it comes to the DFS world, especially a lot of DFS players also include gambling. This is the best of both worlds. We all every Sunday morning look through those prop lines, try to find those player props and stuff like that. Same thing, just in a DFS form. So yeah, certainly check them out. But now that we've got through all the nitty gritty and stuff like that, all the promotion, all the exciting news about the website and everything, let's get down to business here. We're here to break down UFC Fight Night 183, Thompson versus Neal. This is the last fight card of 2020. It's going to be a little bit strange not having a fight card on Saturdays. We've got so used to, every Saturday having fights on. It's been pretty much every single Saturday there's been a slate of fights since, since the first Fight Island. So it is going to be a little bit different, waking up next weekend and not having those fights. But rest assured, UFC has some amazing fight cards planned for us next year. We certainly will be here to cover those when they do happen. But back to this card here, we got a great card. Unfortunately, COVID has raised its head and knocked out 2 fights already. But yeah, let's get to business. So the first fight we got here, we got Cody Durden versus Jimmy Flick. this is a fight that, it's an interesting fight. Both fighters haven't done a whole lot in the UFC, haven't looked that great in the UFC. Flick is a submission artist. He goes for the submissions early and often, averages 7.9 submission attempts a fight. Durden, he doesn't really do much for me. He lands 2.4 strikes per minute. He absorbs 4.4 strikes per minute. So, that's never a good thing if you're absorbing 2 more strikes per minute than you're landing. Flick, he just doesn't really throw that much. He lands about 2 strikes per minute. He absorbs about 1.2 strikes per minute. At the end of the day, I think that this is more than likely a fight that Flick should win. I like him for GPP just because he does have that submission ability. He does land about 2 takedowns per fight, as well as Durden. So the fight should more than likely get to the ground at some point in time. If it does get to the ground, which it should, I think it's very likely that he could land that submission victory. Durden, if you want to throw him in some multi-lineups, not the worst thing to do, because he does have 5 wins via knockout, and Flick has been knocked out 4 times. So Durden definitely does have a path to victory if the fight does stay on the feet. So I wouldn't mind putting him in some multi-lineup GPPs if you're going to play some multi-lineups. But single entry, I'd probably stick more so towards Flick because I think that eventually the fight probably does get to the ground. And once it does get to the ground, I think that Flick can get that submission victory. So the next fight we got here, we got Typhoon Nakui, and I probably butchered the hell out of that name, versus Jamie Pickett. Spoiler alert here for the people that have not joined the site yet, have not looked at our Twitter and stuff like that. Typhoon is our must-have of the week. He does come in at a very hefty price tag, $9,400 on Draftkings. He is the highest priced fighter on this slate. But we believe that he has big potential. This guy is just a straight finisher. This guy just loves to fight, honestly. He has 4 wins, all 4 wins by knockout, all within the first 2 rounds. He lands 6.7 strikes per minute. Now, his opponent that he's fighting, Pickett, it took 3 times for Pickett to finally win on Dana White's Contender Series. That's a little bit of a red flag to me because, the fighters, some of the fighters on the Contender Series are good. They belong in the UFC. But if it takes you 3 fights just to win that, he hasn't looked that great. He's a knockout artist. He has 11 knockouts to his name. So, yeah, he has a puncher's chance. But at the end of the day, I just think that this is a fight that Typhoon should win. I think that he more than likely will finish Pickett in the second or third round. I think it's pretty safe to put Typhoon in your lineups. Honestly, the higher priced fighters this slate, I really don't like that much. I think that the salaries are a little bit off this slate, if I'm being completely honest. So Typhoon is a guy that I will have in most of my lineups for sure. Pickett, I probably would fade Pickett. If you're doing max multi-entry, 150 lineups, if you want to throw him in some, it's not horrible just because he does have that knockout ability. Like I said earlier, he does have 11 knockouts on his career. But outside of, 150 lineups, I probably wouldn't play Pickett. Next, we got Darren Nguyen versus Antonio Arroyo. Honestly, neither of these fighters have done a whole lot in the UFC. Nguyen lands about 6 strikes per minute. He also absorbs about 6 strikes per minute, where Arroyo lands about 3.12 and absorbs about 1.87. Nguyen does land about 2.5 takedowns, and Arroyo does not have the best takedown defense, but it's kind of the same way with Arroyo. He lands about 1.75 takedowns per fight, and Nguyen only has a 35% takedown defense. At the end of the day, I think that this is probably Arroyo's fight to lose. I think that he is the better fighter of the two. He's just, more polished. I mean, when, for instance, just a couple fights ago, he was fighting on Golden Boy MMA, which, if you don't know what exactly that is the MMA organization that, if you want to call it that allowed Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz to fight again. Two fighters that had absolutely no right to be in an MMA ring anymore, and they allowed it and promoted it. So that tells me basically all I need to know about Nguyen as a fighter. He just is not UFC caliber. So yeah, I think that this is a fight that Arroyo wins pretty easily. I like Arroyo for GPP plays, not so much for cash, just because he's not really a guy that normally is going to get you much points. And like I said earlier, I don't really love a lot of the fighters high up on the price tag here. Arroyo is 8,900. I don't love him though. But yeah, I'd sprinkle him into some lineups. Nguyen, if you want a multi-entry, put him in a couple. Like I said, I personally don't think that he is UFC caliber, but at the same time, Arroyo hasn't really looked that great either in the UFC, and anything can happen in the UFC. For a guy that lands almost 6 strikes per minute, crazier things have happened, but I wouldn't put him in more than probably 1 or 2 lineups. The next fight we got Panay Cann versus Sajara Eubanks. I'm used to these last couple of fights. Eubanks has been my underdog, basically queen. She was someone that would always be the underdog, would always be a good cash play because she scores enough points in order to get value even if she loses the fight. Now the roles have kind of reversed, honestly, though. So Sajara is 8,800 on Draftkings. While she has looked a lot better recently in her fights, she still isn't the greatest fighter in the world. She's not bad. She has good finishing ability, stuff like that. But generally, she doesn't score amazing. She scores somewhere between that 60 to 80 range. For 8,800, I personally don't like that much. I mean, I would maybe play her in a couple lineups if you're multi-entering, just because she does have that knockout ability. Though she hasn't shown it very often, she does have that potential. Cann, yeah, like I said earlier, the roles have kind of reversed here. So more than likely, this fight is going to go to the decision. A fair majority of Eubanks fights go to the decision. Cann lands 4.85 strikes per minute. Eubanks absorbs 3.34. More than likely, this fight is going to stay on the feet because Cann does have a 92% takedown defense. If this fight stays on the feet, I think Cann at 7,400 is a great cash play. She's someone that I will probably have for sure in my cash lineup. I think that she's going to be able to score enough points that even if she just gets, even if she doesn't win via decision, I think that she's going to get enough points to score well for 7,400. And if she does get the decision victory, I don't think it's out of line at all that she scores 80, 90 points. So I think that she's someone that you definitely want in your lineup when it comes to cash for sure. Next fight we got Anthony Pettis versus Alex Moreno. Moreno's been in the UFC for a long time. This is a kind of step up for him, I guess I'll call it, though, even though Pettis is past his prime. Moreno, like I said, he's been in the UFC for years, but he generally has only fought kind of run-of-the-mill fighters. Pettis just hasn't really looked very good as of late. But granted, if you look at his fights and you look at the people that he's fought, he's fighting the who's who of MMA still. So it's not like they're throwing him in there against scrubs and stuff like that. Outside of this fight, he's been fighting top-level UFC fighters. So I like Pettis a little bit more in this fight. But once again, it's another one of those fights where Pettis is just so high priced that he almost needs the finish in order to be able to score enough points to make it worth value. Pettis is 9,200 on Draftkings, meaning in GPP, normally you're looking for at least 11x from your fighters, preferably 12x, at least 11x. That means he would have to get over 100 points in order to hit value. Unless he gets the finish, which I personally don't think is going to happen, he's not getting 11x. GPP, he's not the worst play in the world because this is his last fight on his contract. There's been rumors that he's going to go to Bellator to be with his brother. So does he go out like the old Pettis? Definitely a possibility. Moreno, not the best fighter in the UFC. Not the worst either, though. Moreno does land 5.32 strikes per minute. So for cash... for multi-entry, I don't mind Moreno at all. At 7,000, I think he's kind of right around that Dos Santos range last week where he's worth throwing some bullets on because, Pettis has had those fights where he just has not looked good at all. So at 7,000 for a guy that lands almost 5.75 strikes per minute, I definitely think that Moreno is worth throwing some bullets on if you're multi-entering. But I would stick to Pettis for the most part. Next fight, we got Marcin Tabora versus Greg Hardy. Obviously, the UFC has been pushing Hardy a lot lately. I think that each time I see him fight, he's getting better and better. And I think this is going to be another step in the right direction. I would not at all be surprised if by the end of next year, Hardy's fighting for a title, honestly. Tabora, he's been up and down. He looked great coming up. Then he ran into some big-name fighters, lost 3 in a row, got knocked out 3 times in a row. And now he's going on a nice little run again. So it's a little hard to figure out which Tabora we're going to get. Are we going to get the, one that was up and coming, or are we going to get the one that got knocked out 3 times? Hardy, while he hasn't fought a lot of huge name fighters, except for a couple fights ago, he's looked better, like I said, in every fight that I've seen him. He looked a lot more patient in his last fight. Like he's taking this a lot more seriously now, which is a scary thing for a guy with that much power, if he's taking this seriously. I personally think that he is going to be able to knock Tabora out. I think Hardy is for sure a good GPP play at 8,500. I'm surprised he's this low, honestly. I thought he would more than likely be around the 8,800 range. At 8,500, I think that he is a great play for GPP because of that knockout ability. And the fact that Tabora, like I said, has shown a weak chin in the past. So I definitely do think that, Hardy is a very good GPP play. Tabora, if you want to put him in a couple multi-entries, just due to the fact that, he has shown that knockout ability before. Hardy's a very tough dude. I honestly, I don't think that Hardy is going to get finished by Tabora, but Tabora does have that knockout ability. So anytime you're fighting a fighter that has knockout ability like that, you do need to be a little bit careful. So yeah, I would throw him in a couple if you're multi-entering, but I wouldn't go too crazy on him. I think that Hardy, honestly, more than likely will knock him out. What's up, buddy? Next fight we got Tala Santos versus Jillian Robertson. This is a fight that personally I hope that Robertson wins. She is one of my favorite UFC fighters right now. I think that she's very up and coming. She's talented, attractive, doesn't hurt. So yeah, I definitely do like her a lot. I don't think that this is a good matchup for her, though. And I know I did say that last time as well, and she proved me wrong. But Santos does have an 83% takedown defense. Robertson she's too green on her feet right now. She hasn't shown that striking ability that if she can't get the fight to the ground, that she is able to compensate. And that worries me against Santos because Santos, she is very good on the feet. Santos lands a little over 4 strikes per minute. She's a knockout artist. She's had many knockouts in the past. So it does worry me that Robertson would not be able to get this fight to the ground. I hate picking against her just because, like I said, she is probably one of my top 5 fighters in the UFC right now. But when it comes down to it, I don't see this going very good for her. Not that I would fade her because her submissions are some of the best in the UFC right now. So if she gets you to the ground, I think it's game over for Santos. So I would definitely sprinkle Robertson into some GPP lineups. But I would more so play Santos. I think that more than likely this fight probably is going to stay on the feet, which is going to lead to Santos winning. At 8,200, even if it does go to decision, I think that she'll score enough points to hit value, honestly. Like I said, she lands almost 5 strikes per minute. So even if the fight does stay on the feet, goes to the decision, I think that she's going to more than likely take it and hit value. So I would definitely put her in some GPP lineup, Santos. Next fight we got is Marlon Moraes versus Rob Font. Honestly, Moraes, he's only lost to top-notch UFC fighters. His last fight out, he lost, unfortunately. But this is, in my opinion, a big jump for Font. Now, Font has shown good knockout ability. He's shown good power. He does land 5.4 strikes per minute. He absorbs a little under 4 strikes per minute. Moraes lands roughly about 3.5 strikes per minute and absorbs a little under 4. This fight, I think that this fight does have potential to be fight of the night. I personally lean toward Moraes a tiny bit. And this is a very tiny bit, honestly. I would only put Moraes in multi-entry. If you're single entering GPP, I wouldn't play Moraes. He's just too risky in my opinion. If you're multi-entering GPP, I think he's worth a play. And I do lean him a tiny bit. I'll probably sprinkle a bet on him as well, just because I think the experience, the speed, I think he'll be able to do what he needs to do in order to not get finished by Font and pick up the victory. Font, I think, is a great play in cash. 7,200. If this fight stays on the feet like I believe that it will, if it goes the distance, even if it doesn't go to the distance, if he somehow can finish Moraes, Font at 7,200, I think we'll be able to get enough significant strikes to be good value at 7,200 in a cash game. But next we got Killian Williams versus Michael Pereira. This is a fight, honestly, where you can see someone die. These guys are just crazy. If you've been following Killian Williams at all, you would know that both of his fights, he's came in as a significant underdog for whatever reason. Both of his fights, he's ended in under 30 seconds. This guy is just a killer, honestly. Michael Pereira, he's a different fighter. He's a different cat. We'll say that. He's a very unique fighter. He does things a little out of the box. I think that's going to cost him this fight, honestly. I think that Killian Williams is the real deal. I think that his power is just out of this world. I think that Perez is going to, do his unique stuff, and eventually Williams will catch him and knock him out. But up until that point, I think that it's going to be a very, very fun fight. Williams, I like in both cash and GPP. For 7,900, I don't understand how this guy keeps getting put as the underdog. All he has shown is when you put him as the underdog, he makes you pay. And somehow he keeps getting put as the underdog. So I will gladly take that and run to the bank with it. Pereira, just because of his craziness, he does have the ability to get the finish and stuff like that. I personally don't see it happening, but if you want to do, put him in a couple multi-entries, not the worst play in the world. But personally, I think that this is going to be a fight that Williams is going to once again prove his doubters wrong. Next, we got the co-main event of the evening. We got Jose Aldo versus Marlon Vera. I kind of wonder, is this Aldo's last fight in the UFC? Is he on his way out? I know Dana White has, mentioned that he's going to be doing a lot of cuts lately. He started doing a lot of cuts and stuff like that. We got Yoel Romero getting cut and a couple other well-known fighters getting cut. So I kind of wonder, is Jose Aldo next? He has, only lost like Moraes to well-known fighters in the UFC. He hasn't looked that good recently. And that is my main reason why I'm fading Aldo. He is my fade of the night. I just don't see a way that he scores enough for you. Even if he does get a decision victory, he isn't doing much anymore in the UFC. He looks like a shell of his old self, honestly. I know a lot of people say that Nguyen fight, that it was a great fight of the year, so on and so forth. And in my opinion, Aldo did have a couple good moments, but at the end of the day, the guy just didn't look like himself. I think that Vera, I don't know if Vera finishes him, although, has been finished a couple times recently. I don't know if Vera does it, But, Vera has shown that he does have the ability to get the finish. I like Vera for multi-entry GPP just because of that potential ability to get the finish. Or if you want to throw him in cash at 7,600, I think that he's a good value in cash as well. But, Aldo for 8,600, I'm completely fading him, honestly. And maybe it comes back to bite me. Maybe he shows the old Aldo. But personally, I just think the old Aldo's gone dead. So now we got the main event of the evening here. We got Stephen Thompson versus Jeff Neal. Neal, honestly, he's a knockout machine. All this guy does is get finishes. Thompson, while he is a very unique fighter, his style, the way that he stands, stuff like that, he's a different kind of fighter. He doesn't get finished very often. I think that this is a fight that Neal has to finish within the first 2 rounds. If he does not get the finish in the first 2 rounds, I think that he will gas, and I think that Thompson would win the decision. Personally, I think that Neal's going to be able to finish him, though. I just think that Thompson, he's one of those fighters that he's on his way out a little bit. I personally, his style is what I think has kept him in the game this long. His style is a lot different than a lot of fighters, and he does have good power. But, I just think that this is Neal's time to shine, but he has to get the finish in the first 2 rounds. If he does not get the finish in the first 2 rounds, I don't know that he has the cardio to last another 3 rounds, personally. Thompson, I would play in cash at 7,800 because if he can get past those first 2 rounds, I think that he wins. And at 7,800, I think that he is great value for cash. Neal, I like in both, honestly. At 8,400, he's not bad for cash or GPP because if he does get the finish, he's going to score you big in either or. And even at 8,400, he's going to be pretty highly owned in cash. So even if he doesn't do great, it's not like it's going to kill you. But yeah, that is the event, guys. That is UFC Fight Night 183, Thompson versus Neal. Be sure to check out dualcoolsports.com. Like I said earlier, we are running a great promotion right now, $20.20. Gets you that first month of subscription. Finally, you can get something good out of 2020. Which, we all want right now, honestly. Also, like I said, check out thrivefantasy.com. Make sure if you have not subscribed before that you sign up to those guys. They are doing crazy, innovative things, stuff that you will want to be a part of. On your first deposit, make sure, like I said, that you use that code DCS. It does not have to be capital, just DCS, and you will get 100% match on first deposit up to $50. Only catch, you have to deposit $20. But even if you deposit 20, they're going to match that 20, and then you got $40 for the amount of 20. You can't beat that. So definitely check out both of those things. I have a breakdown on dualcoolsports.com for MMA. I'll be putting some bets up later tonight as well. So yeah, let's get that money, guys.